What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Hero or Zero here on the Heroes for Hire podcast. My name is Sean Mean, and joining me as always is my best friend, Conor Lawler.
Hi Sean, that seems very strong. I also see you as an acquaintance.
Ah, fair. Yeah. No, yeah, I get it. It's,
joining
it's cool.
me is man I do the show with.
Colleague, Sean.
Work colleague.
Work acquaintance. We're in different departments.
We see each other in the hallway. We give like the nod every so often. So Sean, this is Hero Zero. This is the show where we choose one comic book character every single week. We talk the good points and the bad points, and we generally just give you a bit of a rundown of everything to do with that character. Now, I always do DC characters, which is in the DC universe: Batman, Superman, all them. Sean, he does the Marvel characters: Spider-Man, Captain America, others, etc.
Yeah, so you did a very good, well, a middling DC report last week. Not a great DC report, I'll be honest. But this week...
I went for mediocrity and I didn't get there, but one of these weeks I will.
Shoot for the stars and you'll land somewhere, is what I always say.
Have that on a poster in the work office.
Where we pass each other and nod downwards.
Of course, yes, yeah.
So we had our Patreon listener hangout there last weekend, Conor.
We did. It was very nice. Lovely to see everybody. It was lovely to chat to them.
It was a great time. Now, towards the end of that, we took suggestions from the floor of characters to cover on Hero or Zero.
Yes.
And one of them stood out to me. I'm going to cover all of them, but this week we are covering a very, very cool character, very recent, only from 2014 this character was introduced. We're covering the Ghost Spider. A.K.A. Gwendolyn Stacy.
Okay, so just before we get into that though, I want to give maybe a little shout to one of our friends, Kieran, who was going to show up to the listener hangout, but unfortunately his dad has to go to the hospital, so I just wanted to give a shout on this week's episode. Kieran, we think you're a legend, and we hope your dad is okay, basically.
Yeah, send out good vibes, and look, you'll be there for the next one.
All the patrons are. We had a chat with them. We're all doing it.
Yeah, you're a nice bunch, the patrons.
And also, if this is just your first episode, you don't have to do anything. Just sit back, relax, chill out, don't worry about it. If it's your second and above, we'd really appreciate 5 stars, a like, a follow, a share. Whatever way you want to support the show, that would be absolutely legendary. You can head on over to the Patreon. You get access to all those listener hangouts and extra movie reviews. This month's movie review will be the 2017 The Mummy, which came from last week's listener hangout as well, which is pretty good.
Very productive hangout, folks.
It was a very productive... People got to tell us to our faces what they wanted us to review. So we will be doing The Mummy for this month. But Sean, it's time to get into some spider-based characters. You have to make me one promise. There will be no totems in this report. Thank you very much.
Oh, lads. There will be the minimum amount of totems as possible.
1.
I'll take 1. That's fine. So, Gwen Stacy was born in Forest Hills to George and Helen Stacy. Following her mother's death, she was raised by George alone. Gwen's free spirit and artistic inclinations put her at odds with her father and the types of ethics that he worked to instill. As a result of this contrast, Gwen would retreat into the quiet, and she would took up playing the drums as well.
By the way, is this the Gwen Stacy from Into the Spider-Verse?
Heavily inspired.
Okay, fantastic.
The Gwen Stacy in Spider-Verse. So over time, she developed a friendship with her neighbour and fellow introvert, Peter Parker, sharing their love for music. Conor?
I'd say he's going to live forever.
At Midtown High School, she developed relationships with other students, a group of girls with whom she formed the band The Mary Janes, and rebellious affluent student Harry Osborne. Now this is all going to sound really familiar coming up. So after being bitten by a genetically engineered spider, she was granted arachnid-like superpowers and started a career as a crime fighter.
Was it fate or was it an accident?
Look, she's a totem at the end of the day. So
fuck's sake.
There's no accidents. But it gets cooler. It gets cooler, I swear.
Okay, but we've always discussed in all Spider characters, as we've done so many times here on these Hero Zeros, is that Spider-Man becomes immediately uncool if you're like, it was fate all along that he got bit by that spider. It's much more likeable if it's just a random kid who then has to be like, oh, I have to, with great power comes great responsibility kind of stuff.
That's the thing. He has to rise to the occasion.
Exactly. So whenever they do Fate, it's always just like, oh, fuck off.
And this is an alternate Earth, of course. This is Earth 65. So Gwen is given a costume and a set of web shooters by retired crime fighter Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp.
Ah, okay.
Which is quite cool. Most of her early adventures focus on exploiting and maintaining her newfound attention more than helping those in need. However, Gwen's behaviour changed after her father expressed that he believed Spider-Woman could help people. So no one has to die.
Right.
She just decides to help people. Because
but in kind of it's a roundabout, wow, I wish that person with all that power would take a bit more responsibility for the kind of power she has.
Be nice, even in our real world, wouldn't it, Conor?
Oh. Alright, calm down.
So, oh heavens, I've just read the next paragraph. Spider-Woman's influence also caused one of the biggest tragedies in Gwen's life.
I feel like you set us up with there was no tragedy, knowing that the next line was tragedy.
I might have been doing a bit there.
Fantastic.
So the bullied Peter Parker, desperate to be special like his idol Spider-Woman...
Little bitch boy, Peter, sticking his head in the toilet. He deserved it. Everything he gets. Go on, Peter.
Peter conducted an experiment that turned him into a lizard-like creature.
What a dork. Classic dork behaviour.
He crashed the Midtown Senior Prom where Gwen fought him. Despite his pleas for de-escalation, Gwen did not pull any punches.
Hang on. By the way, it's not lost on me that he turned into the giant lizard man and turned up and started wrecking shit, and then when she turned up and started kicking the shit out of him, he was like, hang on, let's de-escalate.
I don't want to fight.
I'm not a fighter even though I killed all those kids.
Gwen beat him to death.
Pretty good.
She killed her best friend. With no evidence or link to his transformation into the lizard, Spider-Woman was blamed by the media for Peter's death and branded a criminal.
With great power comes a magical uppercut. That's what they don't tell you.
It was pretty lethal. It was pretty tough, to be honest. That's slightly touched on in Spider-Verse, but I think the lizard just kills him. It's not that he turns into the lizard.
Yeah, I think we just have the image in the first Spider-Verse of her holding him at the party and being like, and crying. Now, it's never implied that she beat him to death, because that would be a weird thing to have in that movie. But I suppose... A lot less sympathy
for her when she beats him to death.
It's so sad, and she's got like blood all over her knuckles. And she brought like a knife.
So, haunted by Peter's death, Gwen doubled her efforts to fight crime to redeem herself. Additionally, her father, George Stacy, was tasked with conducting the NYPD investigation to capture Spider-Woman. A classic move.
This
drew the attention of Matt Murdock, who in this universe is a corrupt lawyer and leader of the Hand Ninja Assassins.
I'm going to ask a question. Did they go so far as to give him a different thing that is, so he's not blind, he's deaf kind of vibes in the alternate reality?
Blind.
Still blind. Okay, cool.
Still blind. And he is the right hand and successor to the Kingpin.
If you don't know who Matt Murdock is, he is Daredevil. That's his superhero name, and he's a blind superhero who does backflips a lot.
Real cool dude. In this one, bit of a bastard. Okay. So the Kingpin sent the Rhino to kill George Stacy in an attempt to make an ally of Spider-Woman. Because they're like, hey, we'll get this guy off your back and now you work for us.
Which technically does make sense if they are not related.
Not knowing the familial bond there. After thwarting the murder attempt, Gwen found herself held at gunpoint by her own father, and she was forced to reveal her double identity. She pleaded her innocence and swore to never rest until criminals like the Kingpin were stopped. Captain Stacy told her to leave the scene before he changed his mind.
That is a heartbreaking moment in the recent movie as well.
It's rough.
Where she's just like, it's me, and he's just like, I gotta arrest you. Like, you're... Because in his head, he's built up this idea that this hero is the worst of the worst. Yeah. Like, a horrifying villain. And then it's like, wait, it's my daughter. And that's such a great character moment in the movie. It's just a great idea to have for the character in general.
100%. And so, then she is fully kind of where we see her at the start of Spider-Verse, except it ends nicer. that her dad kind of accepts her immediately in this one. Then, bear with me, she was one of the first spider totems to join the spider army to combat the inheritors during the Great Hunt. The inheritors, group of vampires who feed off people with spider powers, travel around all the different universes. Okay,
if you feel like you have joined a different report over the last maybe 10 to 15 seconds of whatever Shaun was just spouting there, you are not alone. Everyone who is listening was feeling the same way, because if you don't know, anytime we ever do a spider-based character for Hero Zero, we get a normal 10 minutes. A lovely 10 minutes of
great
just
time.
Bitten by a radioactive spider, starts doing flips, starts moving old ladies across the road, and, you know, just saving general people. And then eventually, in the spider comic books, the comic book writers tried this little thing that is the worst idea for a story in I think ever. I think pretty much ever.
It's a really sweeping character assassination for Peter Parker and all Spider
How do you introduce somebody who's kind of into comic books but not really into the totems?
You just don't. This is how I started reading Spider-Man, by the way. Like, this story, like, all the totem stuff was just starting.
So, do you want to... I'm going to ask you again, Shaun, because there might be new listeners. What are we talking about when we talk about the spider totems?
So there's a web of life and destiny in which all spider-powered people are not only connected, but also there are certain people that fit designations of like representatives of elements of the spider power. So there's the warrior and the bride and all this kind of shit. And it's usually the most popular spider characters are those.
And can I just say,
it's not good.
They put that all on a whiteboard for all of their spider characters, and they connected them with like the web, which I think as an image probably looked cool.
Of course.
And they call it the web of fucking destiny or whatever, and it all works because they're all spider based. But in reality, it's just genuinely the most confusing way to connect all these fucking characters who you could just say all have spider powers and live in the same universe.
Yeah, like there's a whole bunch of parallels between all of the universes. No one else has a web of life and destiny. Anyway, she does that and then she starts universe hopping. She just has that power now.
Great.
She later returned to her reality, where she still tried to turn the public opinion back around on her to being a hero again by becoming a vigilante. With the appearance of a new villain named the Vulture, Gwen set out to catch him and deliver him to the police in order to gain their trust. However, her vigilantism strained her friendship with Mary Jane Watson and the other members of the band, as well as with her father. After her first fight with the Vulture ended in a defeat, Gwen learned that her father had lost jurisdiction on the manhunt for her, which had been reassigned to Frank Castle, a maverick police officer known as the Punisher for his brutal measures.
I mean, to be fair, that's a cool way to go with the Punisher character.
Yeah, like it's also like the idea that the Punisher will ever be a cop is wild.
Yeah,
but it makes it that much more intimidating.
Because if he's a policeman and he still has the nickname the Punisher, then you're like, oh fuck, okay, right, then we know what this is.
Exactly. And so an argument with her father was interrupted by the Vulture, who had been sent to find Spider-Woman by Matt Murdock. Incapacitated by the Vulture's gas fumes, she was attacked by the Punisher, who managed to unmask her and was shocked to discover that she was just a teenage girl. When a gig that the Mary Janes were headlining was attacked by the Hand, Spider-Gwen broke up a fight between Black Cat and Matt Murdock, who had now taken a keen interest in making Spider-Woman his apprentice, and figured out her civilian identity.
Right. Okay.
Now,
so, hang on. So now Matt Murdock wants her to be his sidekick, and the Mary Janes, which is the band that she's playing in, get attacked.
Yes.
Right. I'm with you.
So, okay. So, that's all to say Matt Murdock knows who Gwen Stacy is. He knows, she's Spider-Woman. Waking up late, this is classic Spider-Person behaviour, waking up late for her new job at the Dollar Dog Bodega, Gwen arrived to learn it had been attacked first by the Bodega Bandit, who was a small-time criminal who dressed as an 18th century
highwayman. A likely place for him to fucking go at.
I know, that's his MO. And then attacked also by a giant lizard monster Conor.
An unlikely place for a lizard monster to attack.
Hunting down the bodega bandit first. She learned that, which you would, to be honest.
I like how, yeah, it's like, right, we've got a giant murderous lizard and some weirdo who robs bodegas. Oh, I kind of want an early night.
It's still a win. Like, it's still a point on the...
It's the Batman team of, like, we'll go after the henchman. I'm getting the Joker tomorrow night. Let him kill a few people. It's fine.
I'll break all these regular men's legs.
Yeah.
So the bodega bandit revealed that the lizard had eaten his dog. Unwilling...
So now she's like, oh fuck, now I gotta go after the lizard again.
Unwilling to believe that the lizard had come back, Gwen realised that the culprit was Dr. Curtis Connors, the only other person aware that Peter had been the lizard. But Connors had vanished after Peter's death. Haunted by her failure to save Peter, Spider-Woman located the lizard in the sewers, only to discover that Connors was one of many people who had been turned into big lizards. Her fight with the lizards was interrupted by Captain America, who informed her that the monsters were property of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that he was placing her under arrest.
Am I having a mental problem right now? Because
what's going on? What's your confusion?
You're saying a lot of words, but like I don't think any of that made sense.
Nah, there's a load of lizards in the sewers. It's like Amazing Spider-Man.
But why did Captain America show up?
He works for S.H.I.E.L.D.
There are lizards. Get the fuck out of here.
He owns the lizards.
Go beat up Bodega Man again.
So, despite not wanting to fight Captain America, who her father idolised, Gwen was forced into a battle between her, Captain America, and all of the lizards, and was knocked out. Waking up handcuffed with vibranium, Gwen was interrogated by Cap, who accused her of being a member of the terrorist organisation known as Silk.
Right, okay. So, Silk is also a spider-based character in the other universe. I'm trying to keep up with everything here.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's also, Silk is an acronym. It's Strategic Intelligence and Logistics K. That's what it stands for.
K?
Just they had like, Silk and they worked backwards.
The K has a question mark after it. Like, K? You get me? You understand what we're doing here?
Noticing that Dr. Connors and the other lizards had reverted to human form, Spider-Woman asked if Cap had a cure, but she was told that it was only a temporary suppressant that existed. Devastated that this was going to be her friend Peter's legacy, Gwen told Cap that Peter had been the lizard that attacked Midtown, and she didn't have a clue what Silk was. Just then, Connors transformed back into a lizard and attacked, but Gwen defeated him with help from Captain America and Jean the Wolf, a police friend of her father's.
Deciding an actual wolf? Or
no, just a woman named Jean the Wolf.
Jean the Wolf.
Yeah.
Cool.
Deciding to give her a chance to prove her innocence, Captain America let Spider-Woman go, and Gwen later gave the Bodega Bandit her pet hamster to replace his dog. That's why I mentioned the Bodega Bandit earlier, is that...
For that payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were hanging a lantern on it.
So after this, using her web portal, she goes to visit the Spider-Man of Earth 616 to find out what her Earth 616 counterpart was like, what happened to the Gwen Stacy of the main
Earth
Marvel
616,
universe.
by the way, is our Earth, just so everyone knows.
And Spider-Woman of Earth 616 is just like, you should really talk to Peter Parker about what happened to Gwen Stacy here. He would know best.
Yeah, he probably would.
She doesn't, though, because she returns to her universe and discovers that Harry Osborn, who had been missing after Peter's funeral, had returned, only now he was mental, and he was the Green Goblin this time.
Was he at the opera making like fucking filthy faces? Or?
Yeah, he's got the little fucking binoculars looking in.
Yeah, obviously.
So Captain America helps her to take down Harry, Green Goblin, whatever his name is, and then he gives him the lizard serum suppressant that they had established earlier in the story and turns him back into a human. Returning home, Gwen offered to tell her father the truth about how Peter died, but Captain Stacy's told her that he'd been retired from the Force now and she should keep her secrets.
Do you think he knows that she beat that little boy to death?
100%. 100% he knows, but he doesn't want to follow up on it, you know?
To be honest with you, he doesn't want to get the shit kicked out of himself, I'd say.
This is true. This is also true.
If that's what she's willing to do to her best friend, what's she going to do to her father if he starts asking too many questions?
So after this, she goes back. I'm summarising here because there's fucking 9 pages here. She goes back to Earth 616 and she is talking to Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew, and Silk, Cindy Moon. Actual Silk, not the acronym.
This is great.
Every Spider-Man story is a nightmare.
Every Spider report is always just batshit.
So, basically what happens is the person in charge of Silk, the acronym, is Cindy Moon from Gwen Stacy's universe, right? And they want Gwen Stacy's little portal that lets him jump around to various universes. Cindy 65, we'll call her, because that's the universe she's from. Cindy 65 revealed that she had created the spider that gave Gwen her powers, derived from the genetic material of an arachnid from space.
Fuck off. Right.
Incapacitating Gwen, Cindy 65 injects her with a formula that removes her spider powers.
Right, that's fantastic. You know what's the way to go? Fucking space spider fucking bites her, and then we take away the powers using some liquids.
Pretty much. And
cool.
Now they have... there's a serum that she can inject herself with, and she'll get spider powers for a bit. But she only has 8 of these now.
But is that not worse? Why did they do that to her?
You're gonna hate what happens. She's chased by the Punisher again, but uses the isotopes again, injects herself, is able to defeat him. She tries to ask her father for advice about what to do, but they were attacked by Craven the Hunter, who was an associate of Castle's from his mercenary days. Craven damaged the isotope injector, so she could no longer inject herself with the spider powers, essentially. And then, after receiving an inspirational speech from the Bodega Bandit, who she had stopped robbing a burger joint, Gwen resolved to fight and got Reed Richards to repair the injector using the last of her isotopes to fight Frank Castle. Yeah. And then the fight caused massive collateral damage, Connor.
Yes.
They eventually won. Gwen was despairing over her inability to break the cycle of violence ruining their lives. Her dad decided to turn himself in for aiding and abetting Spider-Woman. So her dad's going to go to prison. He's got to go to trial.
This, you know what this is? This is a plot of Arrow Season 5.
It's very Arrow Season 5.
It's Arrow Season 5 is what you've given me here. And by that I mean, oh boys, does it not make too much sense?
So what happens next is they had I guarantee you they had the idea for the title of this comic run, and they just ran with that, because Spider-Man famously has a thing called Brand New Day, where he made a deal with Mephisto to give up his relationship for Aunt May's life, and they rebooted everything and ruined comics. So this one is called Deal with the Devil, and Matt Murdock offers to defend George Stacy in court in exchange for Spider-Woman working for him from now on.
A much more boring version of the story.
Pretty much. Gwen accepted, desperate to get legal representation for her father. On Christmas Eve, Spider-Woman was attacked by hand ninjas as a test of her skills. Murdoch revealing
what does that have to do with her father's case?
Murdoch reveals he knew all about her loss of powers and offers her an unlimited supply of the isotope samples.
Where did he get it from?
He's ingenious. He can do it himself.
Richards could only give her 8.
The answer is don't worry about it.
He just has a big jacket full of them. He opens it up and there's just like 50 of them in the inside.
So what happens next is that corrupt district attorney Foggy Nelson was moving her father's trial date up to try and send him down. She vows to do whatever it would take to save her father. She met with Murdoch at Oscorp, where they revealed a way that Gwen could permanently regain her powers and also cure Harry Osborn from his goblin lizard disease. Because what happens is, you're going to love this, exposing someone mutated by the lizard serum to the radioactive spider isotopes, Connor, would draw the mutagen out, transforming it into a black, amorphous, symbiotic creature.
A venom, if you will.
A venom, if you will.
Dear
so you get all the
fucking
abilities of Spider-Woman plus the regenerative power of the lizard.
They did all of that just to get the venom.
It was easier to send Spider-Man to space. Like,
they said there was a spider that came from space and then took the powers off her and then did 9 more stories of shit to then be like, oh, Venom's here, we did it.
So what happens after this, and again I'm just summarising because it's a bit of a mess, but they go to Madripoor to make a deal with the Hand, and then Logan's there for a while, but basically Rhino beats Gwen's father into a coma and Matt Murdock organised this whole thing. So Gwen goes mental and injects herself with the mix of serums, giving her now venom powers. So she's all rage-filled and angry. She's about to kill Matt Murdock, but Murdock is delighted because it means, like, oh, I made you fall as far as I did. I corrupted you with power. And Gwen could no longer go through with killing him. Then she steals... They start fighting. She steals his phone and plays music that she knows the Venom symbiote will like, and it stops being angry and goes back to... It just looks like her regular suit now when she wears the symbiote.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and then, interestingly, this is quite cool.
I feel like I've ruined your report, Shaun, but I'll be honest with you, a lot of things have happened.
A lot of things have happened, and also, again, this character is 10 years old. So everything that's happened, by and large, is important. So it's hard to cut some bits out. But anyway, crux of the matter, she gets venom powers, good venom. It just looks like her regular costume. She's not rage-filled and angry and Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
She then is sick of all of the bad things that happen from her being Spider-Woman, so she turns herself in. She is defended in court by Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk, and she is given a 1-year sentence in the maximum security Shield prison. She feels this is low, but it was because she had done so much good as Spider-Woman that they decided to give her a reduced sentence.
Other than that time that she beat that kid to death.
Yeah, I don't think she confessed to that, to be honest.
She they never found the body, so she didn't go down for that one.
So she allowed herself to be brutally beaten up by the other inmates and psychologically tormented by the Vulture, who had established himself as top of the prison's hierarchy. She rejected an offer by Captain America to join a Black Ops team in exchange for getting out of prison, saying she needed to be held fully accountable for her actions as Spider-Woman. After a year in prison, she is released, learning that her father had awakened from his coma and was undergoing rehab. They decide that they want to help people that doesn't involve violence, and George assures her that no matter what the future held in store for them, he had her back. When a fire truck went past the diner they were eating at, Gwen bid her father farewell and left to help the people in the burning building. So she goes back to small town Spider-Man.
I thought you were going to say her dad got hit by the fire truck. I have to be honest with you.
No, but look, objectively, could have happened. There's a universe somewhere where it does. That's where I chose to end the story because it got insane. Yeah, there was 2 carnages at a point. It's real bad. Powers. Venom symbiote. So she has superhuman strength, durability, agility, wall crawling, spider sense, camouflage, matter generation, so she can make the tendrils and stuff, healing factor, and she can control spiders. Weaknesses: vulnerable to heat and sonic blasts. And that's the ghost spider.
I mean, that's pretty good. I gotta be honest with you, the powers in terms of that are like pretty solid spider powers.
It's just good venom. Like that's what you got.
Okay, cool. Do you think they did the Spider Gwen thing and then they were like, we could do Gwen Venom kind of thing? Yeah, Gwenum. Well, someone wrote Gwen on a board. They were like, how do we get here? And they were like, right, well, we need to track back 75 steps and we'll work our way up to here.
I think genuinely MJ becomes Carnage and it's Jarnage. I think that's what they call it.
Who is this for?
I don't know. See, it's a really cool character. And I think the best version is the one that's in Spider-Verse, because you just get to condense everything.
Yeah, and also it just seems like much more like easy to write and structure plots around.
Yeah. And, like, it's weird because they had this, like, they could have just told, hey, Gwen Stacy is Spider-Woman, but they had to do, now the multiverse, and now she's a multiverse character, and anything can happen ever.
But that's, you know what, it falls into a great character, great potential. I think falls into the same trap a lot of these characters do, that the Spider writers for the last 15 years are just, I don't know what they're doing, but it feels like there's nobody in that room going, have we just tried to do maybe smaller?
Yeah.
Just less.
We just
maybe.
took it handy for a bit.
What if we just did a story where a villain does something, maybe a robbery, and then our hero stops them? Maybe, or we could do like more emotional scenes, like more introspective scenes, and more storylines that involve maybe our characters growing as people, instead of getting cool powers from space.
She needs to meet Wolverine, Connor.
Like, we could do a storyline where she grows as a person, she has a character flaw, and then through maybe a series of events learns to overcome that, or cool Venom powers. And also she's Gwen, and also she's getting defended by the Hand, and also Matt Murdock.
Again, I think they wrote Gwenham on a whiteboard, and then it was like, how do we get to there in the most confusing way possible?
Yeah. Look, if you like this report, we have done lots of these spider characters.
Probably too many, to be honest.
Notoriously the hardest characters to do reports on, because the storylines are not coherent, or just, they don't really work in any sort of sequence. Just kind of all over the place. So Shaun, thank you again for always trying to manhandle this.
I'll try it. I'll shoehorn spider people in there somewhere.
It's like trying to hold two eels that are alive at once at the same time. It's just it's a nightmare situation. We have done loads of reports on hundreds of other characters covering DC and Marvel, as I said at the start. So we did Martian Manhunter last week, so if you want to go check that out. But yeah, most importantly, you can check us on all the socials, but most importantly, just tell one human being that we exist.
Just the one, please.
So I have been Conor Lawler.
I've been Shaun Mean.
And we shall see you all next week, guys.
Bye.
Bye.